Good morning students. Today we are going to see about magnetic effects of current. So far we have known only that when the current is flowing through a circuit, it is going to produce heat or light. But when the current is flowing through a circuit, it is going to produce the magnetic field around it, and the changes magnetic field is going to give more and more application for us. And this was noticed by Hans Christian Oersted in the year 1820. This is a very huge discovery. Before his discovery, both electricity and magnetism were two different phenomena. After his discovery of this, these two branches were connected into like electromagnetism. Now we are going to see about magnetic effects of current. In 1820, Danish physicist Hans Christian Oersted discovered that while preparing for his lecture, a magnetic needle was deflected by the current carrying conductor. So he kept a current carrying wire nearby the magnetic needle. When the current is flowing through the wire, the deflection was absorbed in the compass. So, by proper investigation, he observed that the deflection of the magnetic compass is due to the change in magnetic field produced around the current carrying conductor. When the direction of the current is reversed, the magnetic compass deflects in opposite direction. This leads to the development of the theory of electromagnetism, which unifies the two branches in physics, namely electricity and magnetism. Magnetic needle compasses are mainly used in navigation to find the direction of Earth. This works because the Earth itself has a magnetic field which is similar to that of a bar magnet, and it is used to study about the magnetic lines of forces around a magnet. In the image, there are the two circuit is given. In the first circuit, the key is open. Near to the wire, the compass needle is kept, and there is no deflection in the compass needle because the key is open. There is no flow in current in the circuit. In the second circuit, the key is closed and the current is allowed to pass through it, and compass needle shows the deflection, which means the current carrying conductor produces magnetic field around it. So this is Hans Christian Oersted experiment, which connects both electricity and magnetism, like electromagnetism. Further, we are going to study about magnetic field around straight current carrying conductor and circular loop, and the rules which are involving in this phenomenon. Next, we are going to see about magnetic field around a straight current carrying conductor. In the image, straight current carrying conductor is shown, and if we keep a magnetic compass near a current carrying straight conductor, needle of the magnetic compass is going to experience the torque first, then it deflects and aligns in the direction of the magnetic field. And the magnetic lines of forces around the straight conductor is concentric circles by having their center at the axis of the conductor. The direction of the circular magnetic field lines will be clockwise or anti-clockwise depending on the direction of the current. So this can be easily understood by studying the right hand thumb rule. If we hold the current carrying wire in our right hand, extended thumb will show the direction of the current and encircling fingers will show the direction of the magnetic field. So if the current is moving upward, the magnetic field lines are going to be in anti-clockwise direction, and if it is flowing downward, the thumb will be showing the direction of the current and the encircling fingers will show the direction of the magnetic lines of forces. So when the current is moving downward, thematic lines of forces will be in clockwise direction. If the strength of the current is increased, then the density of the magnetic field will also increases. The strength of the magnetic field decreases as the distance from the conductor increases. Circular coil carrying current is the next topic. So, to study about the magnetic lines of forces around the circular loop and about the magnetic field, the circuit is made as shown in figure. A battery, variable resistance, that is the rheostat, and a key is connected with the circular loop. And when the key is closed, the current is going to flow in the circuit. At point A, the current is moving upward. That's why the magnetic lines of forces are in anti-clockwise direction. When the magnetic compass needle is kept near it, near the point A and B, first it will experience the torque, then it get deflected and it will align in the direction of the magnetic field. So at point A, the current is moving upward. That's why the magnetic lines of force are in anti-clockwise direction. At point B, the current is moving downward, so the magnetic lines of forces are in clockwise direction. And at center of the loop, uniform magnetic field is there. That's why the magnetic lines of forces are parallel with each other. They are almost parallel with each other. By using the right hand thumb rule, the direction of the magnetic lines of forces can be studied easily. The strength of the magnetic field is increased if either current in the coil or the number of turns are increased. The polarity depends on the direction of the current in the loop. Polarity means now the coil is behaving like a magnet. So usually the magnet have the north and south pole. South and north pole is the polarity of the magnet. That polarity will be determined by the direction of the flow of the current. Now see in the circuit, the current is flow in the clockwise direction. That's why it will have the south polarity. If the current is flowing in the anti-clockwise direction, if you see from one face of the coil, and it is going to have the north polarity. The current is flowing in the clockwise direction, it is going to have the south pole. And if the current is moving in the anti-clockwise direction, and it is going to have the north pole. Right hand thumb rule. The right hand thumb rule is a mnemonic to find the direction of magnetic field when the direction of current in a conductor is known. The statement of right hand thumb rule is, if we hold the current carrying conductor in our right hand such that the thumb points in the direction of current flow, then the fingers encircling the wire points in the direction of the magnetic field lines produced. So when the current is flowing through a straight conductor or a circular coil, the magnetic field is going to be produced around it. We know the direction of the current, but we don't know the direction of the magnetic lines of forces produced. To find the lines of forces, the direction of lines of forces, we have to use the right hand thumb rule. So see in the figure, the person is holding the current carrying conductor. One is circular and another one is straight, and when he holds it in his right hand, the thumb shows the direction of the current and encircling fingers shows the direction of the magnetic field. Maxwell's right hand corkscrew rule. It is similar to right hand thumb rule because it is used to find the direction of the magnetic field. If we rotate a right-handed screw using a screwdriver, then say in the image, the screwdriver is rotated by using the screwdriver, and the advancement of the screw will show the direction of the current, which means the direction of the current is now from bottom to top. So that is the advancement of the screw when it is rotated by the screwdriver. So the current will be in the direction of the advancement of the screw, while the magnetic field will be in the clockwise direction. So here the advancement of the screw shows the direction of the current, and the rotation of the screw gives the direction of the magnetic field. Biot and Savart law is an equation describing the magnetic field generated by the constant electric current. After the discovery of Oersted, both Biot and Savart did quantitative experiments on the force experienced by a magnet kept near the current carrying wire and arrived at a mathematical expression that gives the magnetic field at some point in space in terms of the current that produces the magnetic field. So Biot-Savart law equation relates the magnetic field to the magnitude, direction, length and proximity. Proximity is nothing but the closeness of the electric current. So to explain about the Biot-Savart law, we have considered a current carrying conductor as shown in the figure, and Biot-Savart law is true for any shape of the conductor. And when the current is flowing through this conductor, it is going to produce the magnetic field around it in this space in all the dimensions. So at a particular point we are going to calculate the magnetic field. That's why I have considered point P at a distance r from the length element of the coil. So I have considered length element dl, which carries the current I. That's why it's a current element, and it is going to produce the magnetic field at point P. And the angle between dl and r is theta. Now the statement of the Biot-Savart law is it is directly as the strength of the current. The magnetic field at point P is going to be increased when the strength of the current flowing through the conductor is increased, and it is directly proportional to the magnitude of the length element dl. So here the length element is dl, and if the length is increased, the magnetic field at point P is also going to be increased. And if the sign of the angle between dl and r is increased, at point P the magnetic field is also going to be increased. And last statement of the law is if the distance is increased, that is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the point and length element dl. That's why if the distance is increased, the magnetic field at point P is going to be decreased. So away from the coil, the magnetic field is going to be decreased. That is the fourth statement, inversely as the square of the distance between the point P and length element dl. So this four statement can be expressed into a single expression like dB proportional to IDL sin theta by r square. dB is directly proportional to IDL sin theta by r square. This is the expression for the Biot-Savart law. So here the proportional constant can be introduced as k. So dB is equal to k ideal sin theta by r square, where k is equal to mu naught by 4 pi. Mu naught is the permeability of free space. So that is the constant for the free space, and 1 by 4 pi is the constant for unit direction. Permeability of free space is the ability of the material to allow the magnetic lines of forces to pass through it. So all the material is not going to allow the same amount of the magnetic lines to pass through it. We know well, isn't it? So mu naught is the permeability of free space, and 1 by 4 pi is the constant for unit direction, means when the current is flowing through the conductor, it is going to produce the magnetic field around its space, and we are considering here only one direction. That's why this is the constant for the unit direction. So dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi IDL sin theta by r square, and this term is multiplied and divided by r for deriving the vector form of the Biot-Savart law. So ideal sin theta r means here we can introduce the cross product like dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi ideal cross r vector divided by r cube, where r vector can be written as r cap into modulus of r vector. This is the formula for the r vector. Because r cap is equal to, that is the r unit vector will be equal to r vector divided by the modulus r vector. From that, r vector can be derived as r vector modulus of r vector into r cap. That's why here the r vector can be replaced with the r cap into modulus of r, and r can be cancelled, and we are getting the vector form as dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi ideal vector cross r cap divided by r square. This is the vector form of Biot-Savart law. So this is by using the line element we have found the small amount of magnetic field at point B, that is dB vector. If you want to find the whole magnetic field because of the conductor, and this must be integrated, and special cases. Next we are going to see the special cases. Special cases in the Biot-Savart law. So we have derived dB vector, this is equal to mu naught by 4 pi ideal vector cross r vector divided by r cube. So this is the magnetic field because of the small length element. The whole conductor is producing the magnetic field around its space, isn't it? So to find that, this expression must be integrated, and we are going to get the expression as B vector is equal to mu naught I divided by 4 pi integration of dl vector cross r cap divided by r cube. By integrating dB, we are going to get the total magnetic field B around the conductor. So if the point P lies on the conductor, then theta is going to be 0. At the conductor itself, if you have considered a point, then theta is going to be 0, and ideal sin theta, because here we have the cross product, instead of theta if you have substituted 0, and dB is 0. If you have considered a point on the conductor itself, there will be no magnetic field. If the point lies perpendicular to the conductor, theta is going to be 90 degree. Therefore dB is going to be ideal by r square n cap, because sin 90 is equal to 1, and the magnetic field is going to be maximum if we have considered the angle as 90 degree. Similarities between Coulomb's and Biot-Savart law. Coulomb's law deals with electric field and Biot-Savart law deals with magnetic field. Both electric and magnetic fields at a point are inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the field source and the point. That's why we can say both laws obeying the inverse square law. This is the first similarity. And second one is both laws obey the principle of superposition and linear with respect to the source in magnitude, which means for the electric field, charges are the sources. For the magnetic field, current and length element is the source. So in magnetic field, if we have increased the current element and the current strength, the magnetic field is going to be increased. So in electric field, if the quantity of charges are increased, then the electric field is going to be increased. That is, E is directly proportional to Q and B is directly proportional to IDL. So we can say both electric and magnetic field are linear with respect to the source. Difference between Coulomb's law and Biot-Savart law is the next topic. Coulomb's law deals with the electric field, Biot-Savart law deals with the magnetic field. So to see about the difference between these two laws, we have to study about electric and magnetic field. Electric field, we have known it is produced by a charge and it is a scalar source. Magnetic field is produced by the current element ideal and it's a vector source. Because the flow of current has the direction, that's why it's a vector source. Second difference is the electric field is directed along the position vector which joins the source and the point at which the field is calculated. So the direction of the electric field is going to be along the direction of the source and the point what we have considered. But the magnetic field is directed perpendicular to the position vector r and the current element ideal. Third difference is electric field does not depend on the angle, but the magnetic field depends on the angle between the position vector r and the current element ideal.